Hello, I'm Scott Jessmore, the Snowbelt scheduler. This video will help walk you through the initial setup process for the Snowbelt online scheduling process that will be done via youthhockey.com. This setup process will help lay the foundation so that once the actual scheduling begins, everything will already be in place for a smooth scheduling process. In this video, I'll show you how to add your rinks, add your teams, add your ice slots, and block out dates. I'll also show you how to edit ice slots, since you'll almost certainly need to do that before the scheduling begins. Before we even start in with the process, don't forget that while you're responsible to set up your association within the system, I'm available to answer any questions. If it's an issue I can't figure out, I'll reach out to the support staff at youthhockey.com. They're very accommodating people. First things first, we need to get you registered on the website. If you're the person selected to do the setup for your association, then you'll receive a role of Organization Master Scheduler within the youthhockey.com system. This simply gives you the power to make all the edits you're about to do. Once I have submitted you as the Organization Master Scheduler for your association, you should receive an email. It will show as coming from support@youthhockey.com, and the subject line will most likely say invite to register as an Organization Master Scheduler, or you've been added to, followed by your association name. There's also a possibility that your email might say Team Manager instead of Scheduler. If you receive the invite to register email like the one shown on top, click the giant blue button or the link underneath it to head to the youthhockey.com website to register for an account. The form should automatically populate your full name, email address, and your organization. Create a password and enter it twice before clicking Sign Up. Once that's done, you should receive a message on the page saying everything was successful, along with a link to log in. Log in with your email address and the password you just registered with. If you receive the You Have Been Added email, like the one shown on the bottom, then this means you already have an account at youthhockey.com, and you could just log in with your existing information. Either way, if you can't remember your login information, simply click the Forgot Password link on the login page. Once you're logged in, we're ready to go to add the rinks. This is what you'll see when you first log in to the youthhockey.com page. The first thing you could do, as there's an updates block here, you can click the X just to get that notice out of the way, and it gives you a little more space to view the calendar. Up at the top left, you'll see the YH logo. Next to that is a pull-down list. You'll see Team, Organization, and League. We're going to be using Organization for this entire process. For the setup anyway. You've also got Schedule, Summary, Tools, there's different options here, and Setup. So to add the rinks, we're going to click on Organization and click again on Organization. It should already be selected, but it's always better safe than sorry to make sure you are in the Organization section of the site. Once you've clicked that, you can click on Setup. That'll change our menu. Over on the right hand side, we've got a bunch of options here, and we're going to click on Rinks. Now on this page, you want to make sure that any rinks you used for the games throughout the season are listed here. I'd also suggest adding in any rinks that you use for practices too. You may already have your rinks listed here. You might have some that don't apply, and you might have some listings, but others might be missing that you do need. For this situation, we've got a blank slate, so we're going to add a rink. Up here, click on this field. It says select some options. Once you click on it, you see a list of rinks. Basically, you're just going to go through and click on each rink that you need from this list. If your rink is not listed here, don't worry. We've got a process for that too. Also keep in mind that your rinks may be named differently than you're expecting. We're going to choose War Memorial for this first test. Once you have a rink selected, just click Confirm Selected Rinks, and you'll see it pop up here in this temporary list. Once you click Save to List, you'll see it officially saved down here below. Another thing to note is that if you are in an environment that uses multi-surfaces like Elmira, Cicero, Lysander, Skinny Atlas, you'll have to enter each rink in individually. So in Elmira, for instance, they have Event Rink and Rec Rink. So you won't enter just first arena, you'll have to do each rink separately. So let's say you want to add a rink, but it's not in this list. We're going to click the Create a New Rink link, and then we've got a form here. Alright, we're going to add in Whitestown as a test. You're going to fill in the rink name. You can fill in the rink address if you feel like it. I'm not sure it's necessary, but we'll enter it just to be nice and neat. You can leave the short name blank. Click on Create Rink, and you should see a green message at the top. Successfully added a rink to your organization. If you have any other rinks you need to add, you can do them right from here. Now we're going to go back to Rinks. You can click it over here on the right side, like you did before. Now you'll see War Memorial and Whitestown, which we added. Now if you have rinks here that don't belong in your association, on the right side you've got these little X's. Just click on those and you can delete them. Also, if there's something incorrect, you can click on Edit, and that'll allow you to change the name or the address. We don't need to make changes to War Memorial, so we're going to go back to the Rinks page. And once you have all your rinks listed here, then you're all set to go. Now on to step 2, adding the teams. Alright, this will be how the teams are declared and set up within the website. On the top left, we're just going to click Organization and select Organization again. We're already in there, but this is kind of going to reset and make sure we're in the organization part of the site. Now you're going to click Setup again, and you'll see Teams listed here. We're already in the Teams page, but we're going to click it again just to be sure. Now you may have some teams listed here. There will always be an unassigned listing. That's normal, and that needs to be there. If you have any old teams listed here that you don't want anymore, you can click X over on the right hand side, just like we had the option with the rinks. Now up in the top right area of this page, you've got Add a New Team. We're going to click on that to add our teams. And on this form, you're only going to use the selections from these pull-down lists that say League in them. Don't use anything that says non-league or anything that's labeled differently than that. Now you're going to choose the level that the team will most likely be at. Often teams will waver up and down and end up in white when you thought they were going to be red, or some other changes. You're just going to make your best guesses for now. And if anything changes at the October board meeting, we can just go in and edit these at that time. 18U almost always only has one level. For 18U, make sure you use red. We label those all as red. At the 14U level, We don't usually have a white division. It looks like this year we probably won't again, so you'll be using red and blue. But like I said, if you think we might have 3 divisions, you can label it as white, and then you can just go back later and edit it and change it to blue or red. Also, pay attention here. The way these got entered for some reason are not in numerical order. So midgets, 18Us at the top, 14Us at the bottom, so it's not in order. Just keep an eye out for that so you don't accidentally pick the wrong age group. Another thing is, if you have multiple teams at an age division and level, use this miscellaneous ID field to distinguish them. We're going to use values 1, 2, 3 if you have 3 teams. And again, that's if you have, let's say you have 2 squirt teams, there's a red and a blue, you're not going to need this miscellaneous ID. But if you have 2 white teams, you're going to want 1 white, and then you're going to create another one and label it miscellaneous ID 2. You're also going to use your list of rinks here to choose your default rink for them. That doesn't mean that all the games have to be scheduled there. That's just going to be the primary rink that they use. And then for league, it's going to be Snowbelt primary. There's a team couple option too. We're not going to worry about that. As you add teams, you'll see those teams show up here. But we're not really going to deal with that right here. Once you have all this stuff filled out, you're going to click on Create Team. And now you'll see a listing here. It's our 10U division, miscellaneous ID 1, level white, league Snowbelt. And there's the edit button and the delete team button that I mentioned earlier. So you're just going to repeat this process for each of the teams you have. Remember, we have 2 10U white teams in this scenario, so we're going to give it miscellaneous ID 2. And now you can see in these lists we've got the 1 and the 2 team. If there's only 1 team at a level, let's say you have 14U blue team, and there's only 1, you leave this blank. There's no need to distinguish that. And again, like I said before, same thing if you're not sure what teams you're going to have. Probably the easiest is to add all of the teams you think you might have. That way, if you have to pull a team before the October meeting, you can just come in here and delete it, rather than scurrying around and trying to add one on the day of the board meeting or the day after. So as you do all this, you're just going to do every single team you have until this list has all those teams. And then we can move on to adding ice slots. Alright, there are 3 different ways to add ice slots. Option 1 is to do it one at a time. Before we actually do the process, I do want to note we'll only be adding in game slots to the system. There's no need for you to do the extra work of adding in your practice slots or other non-game events unless your association's also using this system for their own scheduling. But for right now, we're just setting up Snowbelt, so even in that case, we're just entering in the game slots for your teams. Make sure that you only are entering in game slots that your association is making available for your Snowbelt teams to use. Do not enter in game slots that have been assigned to travel teams or mites or independent teams. You only want teams or ice slots that can be used for Snowbelt league play. Also keep in mind, each team will have 8 league Snowbelt home games. You'll be entering all the available home ice slots that are available for Snowbelt league games, but try to make sure you have a minimum of 12 home slots for each team, so that your teams have some flexibility when it comes time to schedule those. If you only have 8 home slots, you're going to run into problems really quickly when teams can't come to you on those 1 or 2 options you have left. When you have 12 home slots, or even better, more than that, then you give the other team some options on when they can come visit you. The system will schedule squirt games in any slot of a particular time. I believe it's going to be 50 minutes or longer. 12U game slots will schedule for a different time length as well, and so on. I will send information out to everyone letting you know exactly what those times are. That means that if you have slots that squirts are going to be using, most people use 1 hour slots. Some people use slightly shorter, slightly longer. The system will not schedule an 18U game in a 1 hour slot. Obviously, there's not enough time for them to play a game. And like I said, I'll email out exactly what those time restrictions are. Okay, so I was saying before, there's 3 ways to add ice slots. You can add them one at a time. You can add them as repeating or recurring slots, or you can upload them as a CSV file. If you're not tech savvy, I'd suggest you use either of these first 2 methods, the adding one at a time or adding repeating recurring slots. Okay, so on to one at a time. Back to the website. Next to the YH logo, we're going to click Organization, click it again, make sure we're in the right part of the website. Now we're going to click Schedule. This is the calendar that we've been seeing pop up. And over here on the right side, you've got 3 options, Cal, List, and Day. We're already on Cal, but we're going to click that again just to make sure we're viewing the calendar. Now what you're going to do is you're going to click the date you want to add an ice slot for. So let's say we've got an ice slot for October 27th. Once you click on it, you're going to get this little menu that pops up. If you want this ice slot, well, I'm skipping ahead here. You're going to click Game Slot here. When you're adding a single game slot, you're just doing game. Don't do game. This can be a little confusing. You're just choosing game slot. Once you click that, you get a menu on the right hand side. Now here's where you can pick a team. Some associations assign specific slots to their teams. Some just have a pool of slots and then they assign them as needed. If you're an association that just has a bunch of time slots for all the Snowbelt teams to pick and choose from, you can leave this as unassigned. If your let's say your 14U blue team has this specific slot on October 27th, then you can assign it right to them, and that game slot will assign for that team. If you do assign the slots to a team but haven't done that yet, you can leave it as unassigned, and there is a way to go back in later and you can assign these to the teams. That'll get them populated into the system. Then you just need to come back later and edit them so that they're assigned to teams. You want to make sure your date is correct. It's what you click down here. Should be already auto-populated, but as you can see, you can change it here too. And then you're going to choose your time and duration. Let's say we've got an 8 a.m. and as you can see here, obviously it's AM and PM times in order. So make sure you pick the AM or PM. Make sure you're picking the correct one. Let's do 8:15. So you see it's in 5-minute increments, 0 to 55, and then your duration. Make sure that you choose a duration for the usable game ice. For instance, if you've got an hour for the squirts to play and then a 15-minute ice cut, do not set this to an hour 15. You're only doing the 1 hour slot. You're also going to select the rink. This is very important you get this correct. And then you're going to leave the block dates field set to open date. Then click Schedule Event. You'll see the slots appear in the calendar on the left side. And these will be color-coded based on their status. Let me add another one for the 27th. Remember, game slot, not game, but game slot. This one we're going to do unassigned. And this will be the next slot after. We'll do 8:30. We'll do an hour as well. And as you can see, as you add them, you'll have the slots listed here all on the same day, and then the teams will be listed, or you'll see unassigned, followed by which rink it is. I'm going to do just one more to show you. Let's say we've got an 8 o'clock game, but it's the other rink. So you'll see that we've got the Whitestown slot here, or Memorial slot here. They will blend together based on the start time, but you can see the arenas or the rinks listed right there. All right, on to option number 2, recurring events. This is going to come in extremely handy if you have, let's say, your Squirts play every Sunday morning at 10 o'clock a.m. So, just like before, you're going to Organization, Schedule, and make sure in Calendar is selected. You're going to click the date you want to add an ice slot for. This will be the first event, or the first date. So we're picking October 28th. And then, as you may have guessed, repeating events is what you'll click. Now this time you get an option here. You're going to pick game slots. You're going to pick your team. You can leave it unassigned, or you can assign it to a specific team. We said we were going to let these Squirts play. Let's do 10 a.m. for an hour at the War Memorial. Now we can specify the start date field will already be populated with the date we picked over here on the left. Just like before, you can change this if you need to, if you accidentally click the wrong box in the calendar. And then that's the to field down here. You're going to choose an end date. That's pretty straightforward. If you want to have the recurring event run through the entire regular season for Snowbelt, just move ahead to February. The last date for regular season league games will be February 10th. There's a checkbox here for alternate weeks. Some rinks, their schedule, a team may have every Sunday at 10 a.m., but every other week. Not every week, but every other week. This will allow you to do that type of schedule. It'll save you some time. And then you can add date exceptions. So what we're going to do here is we're going to add an exception for, let's do January. Now we're going to do December 30th. We don't want these kids to play on December 30th. Make sure you're doing month, day, year. So the 2-digit month, 2-digit day, and the 4-digit year. And so that's going to be 2018. And let's also add in February 3rd of 2019. Keep in mind, right, anything after January 1st obviously is 2019. It's a common mistake when scheduling for the hockey season. And again down here, block dates, leave it as open, and then schedule event. Because this is recurring, as expected, you're going to see every every Sunday, 10 a.m. until we get to December 30th. Remember, we marked that as an exception, so it did not schedule for that day. And then we also marked February 3rd as an exception, so there we have it. And there is one other way to add ice slots, and that's through a CSV upload. And that's for people who are comfortable working with CSV files, comma separated values. People who are used to working with templates, especially schedule templates with specifically formatted dates. If that sounds like something you're comfortable with, contact me. I'll give you additional instructions on that process. I don't want people who aren't comfortable with that process, with CSV files and templates, to be trying this because it can be dangerous. You can add a whole lot of stuff accidentally, and it can get messy. So if you feel like this is for you, let me know. All right, after we've got the schedule all set up, we want to do date blocking. Inevitably, a team will have certain dates where they're unable to play league games. For instance, you might be playing a tournament one weekend and can't be scheduled for league games, obviously, when you're away at a tournament. Or your coaches may be all out of town on a particular weekend. Or if you're one of the teams that are participating in the Thruway series, you may already be playing those non-league games in Rochester or at home that weekend, so you can't play league games that day. Obviously, for those states, you're not going to schedule yourself for home ice states if you're assigning to specific teams. But if you're using the unassigned slots that will give the team anything that's unassigned, you want to make sure that team doesn't get scheduled for those dates. You'll also want to make sure they're blocked so that you don't get assigned for an away date during those times. So here's how we do this. You're going to click on remember, we're still in organization, schedule, calendar, right? Just like we've been. You're going to click on the date that you want to block. So let's say this 27th, the Squirt 2 team cannot play that day. They've got a tournament that weekend. You're going to click on the date, and you're going to choose Busy Date. You're going to pick the team that's busy. Make sure the date's correct. If you clicked it, it should be the date that you chose. And then it's optional to add a description here, but you may want to do it just so you, if you come back later, you know why you blocked that date out. The category, you can leave this blank. Don't bother with holiday or tournament, and definitely don't create a new category. There's an option to send an email notification to users. We don't have any users tied into this, especially during this early setup, so you can leave that unchecked. Schedule event, and then you will get a nasty black busy thing here. This comes in really handy because as you're scrolling through the calendar or switching months, you can quickly see that some team is not able to play. Once you click it, you can also edit just like anything else. And then Tenyu White 2 will not be scheduled for home or away games that day. Let's say you are able to schedule a game, but only in the afternoon on a particular day. You might be playing an early morning game at home, but you're fine with playing an afternoon game. You can add a busy date the same way. It's the same. just going to put that it's morning. You're going to schedule the event. It's going to block out the entire day. And then you need to click on it, edit it. And from here you can edit the time so that it's not all day. Click edit, uncheck the all day box, and that'll give you the fields we're looking for. Now this can be a little tricky because the duration times are normal for ice cuts and game times, but not necessarily normal for blocking out specific times of day for busy days, block dates. So you'll see it jumps from 3 hours 30 minutes to 8 hours. So if you can't play, let's say they can play after noontime. So for that we'd probably have to do 8 hours. And then you'd have to do a little bit of math. Start at 4 a.m. This gets a little goofy. But 4 a.m., 8 hours later is noon. Then you can save the changes. And then you see here, you can double check your math now, make sure you did it correctly. 4 a.m. to 12 p.m., they are blocked out. So then they may still be scheduled for an afternoon game or a noontime game, but they won't be scheduled in the morning. Now we're going to edit events. It's inevitable that you're going to need to come in and edit events. Most likely you'll be doing it right away as you add events and realize you did something wrong. It's bound to happen to everyone. Another thing, you will have to come back and edit events if you find out your ice times have changed, or if a team has taken some ice that you thought you had for Snowbelt, but it's no longer available. There's two ways to do it. There's one at a time and bulk. So to do it one at a time, we already saw how to edit. It's not going to be too much different. You're just going to click on, we're actually going to go back up to October. We're going to pick out this 8:30 slot, edit and add scores. You can ignore the add scores part. We're not going to use that feature of this website. So basically you're just going to make the edits you need to make. Note that if it's a time change, you're going to have to click the edit button, and then you get the options to change here. If it's the location, you need to click. Oh no, I guess you cannot change the location. Alright, so much for that. So you can't change the location. It looks like you'll probably have to make a new, you'll have to delete this one and make a new one. And you'll see if you do need to delete any events, it's right down here in the edit field. Once you edit, you have this delete option, and then you'll get a confirmation. Now you're not going to touch this select game status either. So let's say we're going to change this to an hour and a half ice slap. And whatever changes you need to make, you're just going to click save, and you should see it pop up here. Now it's 8:30 to 10. Now bulk edit. Option 2. Alright. On this one, on the schedule page, instead of the calendar, we're going to pick list. So you're going to see all of the events we added. You're going to see the type listed for each, the block day that we added, and then the regular slots, the rinks. All of your teams that are assigned are going to be in Team 1. You'll notice the unassigned ones are labeled as such as well. And then, of course, on the left, the date and the times. When you bulk edit, you're going to click up here on the blue bulk edit button on the top right. You get these options that pop up here. and you're going to get these checkboxes down here. So we have, let's see, what did we do? We did the 28th. I'm going to check that. And then you have options here. You can delete, edit events. You can edit the time, date and time. You can edit the team and type, or the duration. So let's say we're going to add 15 minutes to these time slots. Because they're not an hour, they're an hour 15. As you can see, this is subtracting or adding time. Update. And now you're going to see instead of 10 to 11, they're 10 to 11:15. And that will affect all of those events. Now let's say you've got these two unassigned. You want to assign it to a team instead. This is where you might need to come back later. If you don't have them assigned to teams now, but you do want to do it later, you can come back in here. Event type, you're going to leave it no change. We're not using the practice options. And always, you're only updating the team 1. We're not using the team 2 field. So team 1, we're going to assign these to the 14U team. Update. And now you see they're all assigned to 14U blue. And that's pretty much it. If you have any problems, if you're confused, if you have questions, make sure you look through the document I've sent you. Watch this video, which you already have now. And then if you still have problems or questions, email me. That's what I'm here for. I know I'll get plenty of questions on the system. It's a brand new system. There's nothing to be concerned about having questions. I've gone through this myself to learn, and it just takes some getting used to. No big deal. And thanks a lot for making it to the end of this video. Most people didn't. I appreciate that you did. Thanks. Have a great day.